Hello, this is Watch All About, and in this watch review we're looking at a new watch, brand Chronologia, and their first diver, which is currently on Kickstarter. So we'll have a look at, first of all, the case. Comes in this nice little zippered package with the nice little handle, which is quite something different to see, which is quite nice and different. So you open her up. We've got a tag here. We have a little zippered section here for papers. Obviously the watch itself, and it's quite cool that we have a torch, and also it has a UV light, so you can use that to charge up the Lume, which is quite a fancy little touch as well, which is pretty cool. I do like that. So if we just take that off. So I thought it was just worth showing you that because it is a little bit different, and I personally quite like it, and it'll be quite handy for transporting the watch, I think. So there we go. So let's talk about the watch itself then. So this is obviously by Chronologia. This is the R004, which is the model name, which isn't particularly very catchy, but oh well, there we go. And currently it's on Kickstarter for under $200. That's $198, which equals about £127. After their Kickstarter campaign runs out, the RRP is going to be $395 or £253. So let's think about some of the specs to see if it's a good deal. Excuse me. So first of all, it is rated at 200 meters or 20 atmospheres, so it's got a good water resistance rating on it, so you certainly can use it for a decent amount of diving. One of the main features to me is the fact that the case is completely carbon fibre, because it's something that you don't see too often, especially on watches costing this much. I mean, you can get it from Kickstarter for under $200 for a fully carbon fibre case is quite impressive. You have this silicone strap as well, so it's obviously well suited for diving with a matching PVD coated buckle on this model. The size is quite big. It's 46mm in diameter by 55mm long, and a height of 15 millimeters. It has a Swiss movement, and that's a Ronda 515, so that's pretty reliable. Ticks away, you can't really go wrong with it. And of course it's high quality because it's a Swiss made movement after all. And then finally, we have a sapphire coated mineral crystal. So it's not a complete sapphire crystal, but rather many manufacturers believe this way is the best of both worlds, because you get the scratch proof properties of sapphire coating top, and then the shatterproof qualities of the mineral crystal being the main aspect of it. So you know, you can't really go wrong with that either, so that's good to see. There is one final thing that's worth mentioning actually, is that it has 6 Swiss made trigger light tritium tubes, and these are at 12, just see in the rehaut, 12, 3, 6, 9, and then 1 on each hand. So that's quite unusual as well. They are only T25 rated, so they're the weakest level of tubes you can get. You can go up to 100, 200, which are obviously a much brighter glow. So they don't glow particularly bright, but you can see it in the dark. For instance, if you're in a room with all the lights off and it's dark outside, you can see it glowing very, very gently. So it is always there. It's just never, quite as strong a glow as a fully charged Lume would be. Everything else is just standard Lume, but we'll have a closer look at that in a bit. Okay, so this is how it looks on my 7¼ inch wrist. Obviously, there's no denying that. Oops, excuse me. That it is a large watch. Personally, I quite like large watches, so it doesn't really bother me. But for someone who doesn't really like larger watches, and obviously this is quite quite a big deal for them. The thing is, because it's so large, and it's a carbon fibre case, it doesn't actually weigh too much. So it actually feels really comfortable on. The silicone strap is very soft and comfortable as well, so it really is quite nice to wear. You don't really notice it at all, and even though it's a large size, it fits around the wrist very nicely. And as I mentioned before, the light weight of it, you can easily wear it all day long. I mean, I've been wearing it all day long without a problem at all, which is quite unusual for a watch this size. So I'm quite impressed by that. Okay, so let's just have a little bit of a closer look at the dial then. Just give it a wipe. Okay, so this is the blue model. So it's got a nice blue bezel insert, and the dial itself is blue as well. So you can see here we have the tritium tubes, as mentioned before, and then all the rest of the hour markers are all Lume, standard Lume filled. I do like the texture to the main dial. There's quite a lot of detail going on actually, so for a watch that you can potentially get it for, it's quite a good deal. I do like the little step around the very outside, and then the rehaut is quite a big bold feature as well. All these hour markers are applied with a nice polished metal border to them, so they reflect the light, and they're all really well made and really well applied, and the hands again are quite bold, and I think suits the design of the watch nicely. Some people may take a bit of umbrage with the white date window, and for me it probably does look a little bit too small, but again, you can't really it'll be hard to get a custom date window date wheel made, sorry, because obviously it's such a large watch. The window would look normal on a slightly smaller sized watch like a 42 mil, but because it's so large, it does look slightly out of the perspective is a little bit funny, but that can be overlooked. So the dial in itself is really well executed. It's well designed as well. I do like the logo. Again, the font is very bold. You just move the hands out of the way. There we go. So the logo is quite a nice design as well. So I think they've done a really good job on how it looks. So moving on to the case, we'll start with the bezel. Now the bezel on my watch here is actually a little bit loose. You can probably, I don't know if you can see it, but it does wobble a tiny bit, and you can hear it if you tap it. You can hear it's ever so slightly loose. So that's a bit of a shame, because the bezel in essence is really well made. It has a nice knurled grip around the outside. All the insert is very well finished, very well made. It's just that the action doesn't sound quite so good, and it doesn't feel quite so tight as it should do. And as I mentioned before, it does have a very slight wobble. So it could just be that it's just my model that's got this slight issue. So maybe keep an eye out for that. Okay, so it's a shame, because apart from that, the bezel is very nice, and it looks great on the watch. So the case, as I mentioned before, is completely carbon fibre, very angular, very nicely finished as well. It's quite unusual because it feels almost plasticky. So it's not your usual finish to a watch case, but the machining is all very well done. You can see around here all very straight and clean and fine lines on the case itself, and then we have this quite cool heavily toothed crown as well, which is also carbon fibre, but obviously we have a stainless steel thread there to ensure that it can be screwed in easily. Another nice cool thing is that the crown lines up nicely, because there's you see it so many times where it doesn't quite line up, but it's nice to see that that's been thought of in this instance. The case back is a stainless steel. and is screw-in. I think it's quite cool design. It's got like these fans around the inside with the U, like the main U logo of the oh no, so it looks like a C. It could be actually C of the Chronologia by the looks of things. So there we go, and then we have a few details around it: Swiss movement, water resistance rating, and what it's made of. So I think the design is quite nice of the case back. It's well made as well, and it's completely brushed, so it's gonna hold up well to everyday wear. It's not going to really scratch or get that much damaged. And all the text is filled with black paint as well, which again is a really nice little touch. So good on them for thinking about small details like that. The strap itself is quite plain. It's got this little crosshatch grip on the top, which I guess is reasonably interesting from a design perspective. Keeps things not quite as bland as it could be, and the underside is completely plain as well. So there's not a lot to say. It's very malleable, very comfortable as well. Some silicone straps can be quite stiff and uncomfortable, but this is really really comfortable, and quite happy to wear it. And then we have the buckle with Chronologia engraved on the end there. It's quite deep as well, which is PVD coated to match the black case. So all in all, the watch is really quite impressive. When you consider, the price now as it stands is under $200, it is really a lot of watch for your money when you think about the specs alone. So let's just check out the Lume itself with their very own UV torch. If I give it a bit of a charge, should be able to see. See it there. So you can see very slightly the tubes. If I can try and block out all the other light, see the blue tubes of the hands, and also the other tubes at 12, 3, 6 and 9. You can tell that they can't really compete to a fully charged Lume, but they will stay like that literally if the watch has been left in the dark for months on end, and the Lume has absolutely no charge, but the tubes will keep on glowing because they don't require any charging, so it's just like a slow and steady glow. So there we have the Lume. Let me just get the macro lens on then, and we can have a look at it in a little bit of a closer detail. So starting with the dial, we can see this mottled texture there, and it's nice to see the printing is not printed directly on it, but it has a little raised ridge for the printing to go on it nicely. There's the date window just cut out. I mean, personally I like to see a little border around it or something, but at least it's done in a neat way. Looking at the hands next. Oh, just give it a wipe. Looking at the hands next. So we have quite plain black base and a white arrow with the tubes applied to it, and quite a simple white stick for the second hand. And then if we just have a look at these hour markers, you can see they're all pretty neat and tidy as well. So I do like the rehaut and how it's quite a big feature. That one is ever so slightly misaligned. All the others are much better aligned. We have this big bold minute track around the outside as well. So moving on to the bezel. This insert is all pretty neatly printed. And then we have this knurled grip around the outside as well. Let me see if I can show you the wiggle on it. go. So see that it's a little bit loose. So hopefully it is just mine. And then the carbon fibre finishing. There we go, quite soft. See all these angles here as well. There we go. So if I just take the crown out, you can see that as well. There we go. And then just moving on to the case back, have the big C which is painted, and there's this nice little fanned feature, and then the text as well, filled in black paint as well, which is a nice little touch and well designed as well. Okay, so just finally we'll look at the strap. Here's the cross hatch pattern on the top and the underneath. And finally we have the buckle here with Chronologia quite accurately and deeply engraved on it. There you go. Okay, so as it stands, I think it offers really good value for money. You know, £127 right now you can get it for. To get a watch which has a Swiss-made movement, 200 meters water resistance, carbon fibre case, sapphire coated mineral. What are the? I think that's tritium tubes as well. You know, this is all a lot of things that you don't see on a watch costing this much. I think the RRP of around £250 is still pretty accurate, to be honest. I don't think it's you know, overpriced. I still think that's a fair price for the amount of watch you do get. The only thing I would recommend is to obviously make sure you get one with a decent bezel. But if that was to be fixed, then I think it really is a really nice watch, and one that will certainly serve you well diving because of its lightweight, its incredible toughness and durability because it's carbon fibre, and the weight, the water resistance rating. It is a really good watch for the money, and the design is really good as well. So as long as you're happy with the size of it, I do think it offers a lot of watch, and I would personally recommend it. Okay, so this was the Chronologia R004, and that's what it's all about.